Good morning. Welcome back to Pastor's Morning Walk. Well, we're back in the car on the way to school again. The spring semester begins for Salem Creek Academy Boys School. So I also begin preaching in the chapel. And just as we did Mondays in John, so now we will do Mondays in Romans. I've chosen these books because of their importance and clarity and fullness and simplicity as regards the basics of salvation. Romans being like a gospel tract or a simple systematic theology. I look forward to preaching this morning from verses 16 and 17 of chapter 1. And in it Paul says he's not ashamed of the gospel, for in it is revealed the power of God unto salvation for all who believe, both Jew and Greek. For in it is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the righteous shall live by faith, or the just shall live by faith. Well, this statement of Paul's whole theme in presenting the gospel that he preaches, as he desires to preach in person to the Romans, it introduces the great theme of justification by faith, which takes up a large portion of the first part of the book. And he speaks of it as the power of God. I want to focus right now on the first application I'll make, which is that we should not be ashamed of the gospel. Men will try to make you ashamed of the gospel. They'll do it because they're wicked, and the gospel opposes their sin. In it is revealed righteousness, that is, the righteousness of Christ, purchased on the cross and by his perfect life, given as a gift to believers, but as the remedy to sin. And this is what the gospel demands. You must replace sin with righteousness. And those who love sin and want to live in sin will hate it. And they will think of all sorts of ways to make excuses against it, and to make gospel believers and gospel preachers ashamed for declaring it. Don't be ashamed. It saves sinners. Why would you be ashamed of the power of God unto salvation for all who believe? It makes men go from hell to heaven. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a reason to boast. Another reason men are ashamed of the gospel is because of the apparent weakness of its facts and means. So the central fact of the gospel is a crucified Savior. And to men of this world who are great and powerful, it seems weak. They'll say the most awful things about Christ and his being killed by the Jews and the Romans. They'll mock him, saying, in words similar to Psalm 22, he trusted in God, let him deliver him. And they'll try to heap shame upon us, because the cross, as the Greeks say, is foolishness. But we can say with Paul, the foolishness of God is wiser than men. And we can ignore all of their silly mockery. For it is the power of God unto salvation for all who believe. Another common way that men would pour shame upon the gospel is by making fun of its demands for cross-bearing. Christ says, if any man would be my disciple, let him deny himself daily and take up his cross and follow me. Men don't want to take up the cross. They'd rather live a life of ease and comfort and pleasure, and they will mock anyone who tries to prevent the living of such a life. They say, why would you want to live a life that's so dour, so serious? Don't be so sober. Lighten up, they say. Well, the Christian life has plenty of joy, and a true Christian has much cause in this life for laughter. But these are not laughing matters. The salvation of sinners, their need for salvation is no laughing matter, because if they don't have Christ, they'll go to hell, the place where their worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched, the outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. This is not a joke. If you can't bear the weight of that cross, the reality of sin, its evil, the need, the urgent need to put away sin and come to Christ, and to live a life of holiness which requires constant self-denial. If this is too much for you, you may be tempted to mock the gospel. But sadly, you're mocking your own salvation, for the gospel is the power of God unto salvation for all who believe. And you, by refusing to believe, but instead mocking the only offering for sin, will be justly mocked yourself on the last day. A day in which Christ himself says, speaking as wisdom in Proverbs 1, I will mock when your terror comes, because you refuse to hear. Do not refuse to hear. Do not mock. Do not be ashamed. I speak to men of this world and to hypocrites who are not converted. But I speak also to sincere Christians. Why, of all people, would you be ashamed of the gospel? It's the power of God to save you and to save everyone else who would believe. So don't be ashamed, but glory in this power of God. May the Lord bless you today.